Have you ever felt like you're juggling 1,000 dreams, yet none of them fit the mold that society expects? That nagging voice telling you you're scattered or a jack of all trades, master of none. It's a familiar feeling that many multipotentialites struggle with. But what if I told you that these feelings of shame and guilt are not obstacles, but can actually be the key to unlocking your full potential? Welcome to the world of multipotentialites. You're not broken, you're just wired differently. Today we're diving into the emotional roller coaster that comes with the territory of having countless passions. In this video, we'll be taking the 3 key emotional challenges faced by multipotentialites. We'll explore 1, what these feelings of emotional turmoil are and why they hit so hard. 2, the societal pressures forcing us to choose just one path. 3, the fear of being labeled a jack of all trades, master of none, and how this mentality sets you back. But no, honey, I won't just present the problems. We'll uncover 1, practical strategies to reframe these feelings into tools for growth, and 2, my favorite bit, real-life multipotentialites who've actually turned their multiple passions into strengths. So here we go, ready to rumble. Let's just dive in.
I don't belong in the world. That's what it is. Something separates me from other people.
Shame is such a heavy burden, especially for multipotentialites. It's usually that feeling of inadequacy that you constantly feel, of not being able to fit the mold of a specialist. You might find yourself having constant thoughts that linger on worries of how people view you, specifically viewing you as being scattered or unfocused, or you might be very hard on yourself, thinking that you're not even mastering anything from all the things you're doing. As you can only imagine, this shame now presents itself in real life as imposter syndrome. Wherever you are, you really doubt the abilities that you have in that particular field. So you're not really able to shine and trust yourself. So how do we frame shame? It's important for you to instead think of your curiosity and drive to explore multiple interests, not as flaws, but evidence of your vibrant intellectual life. Acknowledge and name your shame whenever you can to make sure you strip it of its power over you. Then focus your attention more on the achievements you've made in your various fields, and then recognize your unique ability as a multipotentialite to be able to connect dots in ways that specialists cannot. The practical strategy to be able to turn shame into something that can be used as a key strength is trying out an achievement journal. Dedicate a cute little notebook or a digital space where you log down all the small, and I mean the most tiniest achievements you've made across your various interests. Over time, your noting down will end up showcasing a network of skills that demonstrate how unique your journey has been, and then you'll come to realize that your skills, because of how varied they are actually a super strength. Number 2, guilt often accompanies the feeling of disappointing those who expect you to follow a singular path. It can end up making you feel like you're wasting time or not fulfilling your utmost potential. Guilt can be so paralyzing, leaving you stuck in a loop of self-doubt and internal conflict. So how do we reframe guilt? I would really encourage you guys to practice self-compassion. Trust me, it's been a journey for me myself, and it's still continuous. In your practicing self-compassion, recognize that every new interest you develop allows you to add more depth and layers in your life, which end up bringing you unexpected value and growth. It's like compound interest. You realize its value after the fact, and sometimes way after the fact. A practical strategy that you can use to take guilt and turn it into something positive is trying the curiosity map technique. So think of it like a mind map. It's like a visual representation of your interests. So at the center, you draw the interest that you're interested in. And then you draw out little branches or arrows that demonstrate how these interests are interconnected. I'll give you guys an example. If you love cooking, writing, and then photography, at the center, you'll write my passions. And then you'll draw out little arrows that will represent the cooking, photography, and the writing. Then you display how they could overlap. So how does writing and photography meet in the middle? How do photography and cooking meet in the middle? So it could be something like food photography. And then the key of the mind map is that it helps you see the bigger picture of how your interests fit into each other, like little puzzles. And then ultimately helps you appreciate how all these interests enrich your life. Feeling number 3. Overwhelm and anxiety root from the multitude of opportunities and the vastness of information that's available to you. Now, how they manifest in real life is probably ending up having fear of missing out and decision paralysis, aka the famous analysis paralysis, which is basically feeling like you're just paralyzed by the thought of having to choose the right path because you just have too many choices. Instead of letting anxiety turn into overwhelm, then turn into procrastination, let's reframe it. Let's think of it as, I'm not anxious or overwhelmed, that's why I'm procrastinating. I'm passionate about making the most of my time and energy. A practical strategy we can use when dealing with overwhelm and anxiety is trying out the daily triage. So using the Eisenhower gamified priority matrix, which you can find linked in the resources, the description of this video, you basically use it to list down the 3 key interests that you want to prioritize to focus your attention on that particular day. So it limits too much overwhelm on having everything on your table. And then you end up not procrastinating and maximizing your day. Feeling number 4. Isolation arises from the difficulty you may face in finding people who truly understand your constant need for change and exploration. Basically, you're finding your tribe. So when you're experiencing loneliness or feeling very isolated, how can you reframe what you're going through? A good reframe would be, you're not facing loneliness because you're a difficult person to be around or to be with, or that you can't be understood because you're too complex. Instead, you're just rightly positioned for your tribe of people to find you who would be so interested in the things you're interested in, who would end up appreciating the wealth of information, resources, skills, knowledge that you have to share with them. It could be your workmates, your tribe could be people online, your tribe could be your family. You never really know. So don't let the feelings of loneliness stop you from putting yourself out there. The world needs you. We need you. So how can we practically do this? Actively seek out communities like the one we're building here together, where multipotentialites like me or you guys gather. Join online forums. I've linked 2 communities that you can check out, list in the description of this video. Social media groups or local meetups to connect with others who understand your drive. Because let me tell you guys, finding a supportive community can actually be super empowering. Your tribe literally gives you life. Let me say, think of it like a superhero. It just juices your power even more. Feeling 5. Enthusiasm is one of your greatest strengths, but it can also end up being a double-edged sword. If you're not careful, that passion can end up leading to burnout. The key to avoiding this is learning how to manage your energy wisely. So how can you learn how to do this practically? It's important to learn how you can prioritize your projects, but also how to give yourself permission to rest. It's a very delicate balance because you don't want to burn out, but you also don't want to procrastinate. So something you can do is an activity called an energy audit, where you end up listing down the activities and relate them to your energy levels. so that you can be able to identify those that energize you and those that drain you. And then after taking stock, you can be able to now prioritize your focus into the ones that really energize you, while learning how to push yourself into those that maybe don't but are necessary to be done. And the ones that don't really energize you but are adding no value to your life, you can learn to also let go of. Sometimes knowing how to say no is a super strength because it can help you learn how to prioritize your well-being.
Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my sassiness upset you? Don't take it so hard just because I laugh.
Maya Angelou's diverse passions such as writing, acting, singing, and activism didn't dilute her impact. Instead, they enriched it. Her ability to be able to connect with audiences through those different mediums coming together shows you how impactful multiple interests can be in contributing to an influential career, where you reach people in ways they didn't even know they had capacity for. Multipotentialite number 2, the Snatch Lorette, is Donald Glover.
I don't think it's good unless it's fun. Like I think people always say like, oh, you go from job to job or like you do a bunch of stuff, but I'm just following the fun. Whatever feels good and feels like an interesting thing at the time, I'm gonna go with that because that's the only thing we have at the end. Like our aesthetics, like everything else is being shuffled off. Like the internet, you can buy an aesthetic if you want. So the more personal something is, the more specific it is, it becomes realer. It'll feel more real and more honest, and it's more interesting, I think, to people now.
He's an actor, writer, producer, comedian, and musician. His success in multiple creative fields shows you that it's possible to manage multiple passions without burning out. His career is a testament to being able to focus on one project at a time, but keeping your broader vision in mind. Our Snatch Lorette number 3 is Janelle Monáe.
I think that we're in this business and people say, well, you have to do it like this. You need to do it like this. This is how it's done. Go here, go work. Do never come across like you're not a hard worker, because you need to work. You need to do, and that's the family I came from. I grew up, my parents worked.
They got it wrong a little bit, right? They got it wrong. We bought into it for many years.
But I feel like they did what they needed to do to provide, right? Like I would never, ever, say my mother exemplifying, she was a maid before a custodian, like she was doing so many different things to provide for us. And you saw that and you just were like, work, right? But I think at a certain point, we got to say, how do we redesign a life to where we're working and we're also making it fun?
She manages to excel in multiple disciplines. A strategic approach to curating projects and knowing when to strike the balance on when to rest shows you that you can manage your enthusiasm while trying to avoid burning out, and still in the midst of pursuing your diverse passions. Drum rolls, please. As for Snatch Lorette number 4, we have Issa Rae.
As women, we tend to downplay ourselves. We tend to dim our light. And we're kind of conditioned socially to be humble. And I grew up in the age of hip-hop, and none of my favorite artists are humble. They don't even know what that means. So in writing my speech, I decided to embrace this moment in honor of them. Emerging Entrepreneur Award, duh, bitches. Entrepreneur means I did that shit by myself. In conclusion, entrepreneur till I die, I deserve this, bye.
She's made such a significant impact as an actress, writer, producer, and entrepreneur. A famous series, Insecure, although I don't know how many of you actually watched it before she got famous, on YouTube, and it was called Awkward Black Girl, showcases her multifaceted talents. And then from there, she ended up building onto a production company called Hooray, where she's been able to hold the door open for numerous other Black creators and their stories. And moving on to create her hair care line, Sienna Naturals, highlighting her entrepreneurial skills that she's borrowing from her other already successful skills in production and creating her own production company. Her career basically showcases how you can bring all your multiple passions and one can borrow from the other to create something better than what you previously had. It's like Legos, just building your own Legoland. So as we've seen, the emotional toll of being a multipotentialite is real. Like, let's not get it twisted. It's very real. But have you ever wondered why society is so obsessed with pigeonholing us into one path? What if embracing your multifaceted nature could actually be the key to breaking free from those societal constraints? In a moment, we'll uncover why societal expectations are so limiting, and more importantly, how you can be able to navigate these pressures to carve out a unique path that honors your individualistic passions. So let's dive in.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look!
From a young age, we're often asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? This question is usually asked as if there's only one correct path to follow. Like, there's only one definitive answer you can give that you should get right. And get right for the rest of your life. Once this stone has been cast, then begins your journey as a complete societal misfit. And equals the multipotentialite is born. So to challenge this mentality, it's super important that you surround yourself as a multipotentialite with narratives that celebrate versatility. Seriously, the gap between feeling like you can do something and knowing that it's possible and then feeling like something is completely out of reach is relatability. Seeing someone else do it, knowing that there are people out there doing it, helps you know that, no, you're not a fish out of water, you're not an oddball. That person inspires you to discover those parts in you that need to be awakened. You just need to find the right tribe. People like me, unfortunately, only realize this when it's not too late, but later on in life, as opposed to when you're that young, impressionable little mind. So seek out biographies, podcasts, or communities that highlight polymaths or generalists. Basically, what I'm trying to say is society benefits immensely from individuals who bridge the gaps across multiple disciplines. Before we dive into dismantling the famous Jack of all trades, master of none myth, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered how combining seemingly unrelated skills can lead to creating an unstoppable advantage? Imagine having the audacity, the guts, to turn a label that's meant to diminish you into the very thing that ends up setting you apart. But here's the twist. What if I told you that the very skills you've been told to downplay are the key to unlocking opportunities you never imagined? We'll get into it in just a moment.
An arrow and I learned to shoot. I found a little horn, I learned to toot. Now I can shoot and toot. Ain't I cute?
The famous label, Jack of all trades, master of none. I bet at this point, there's nobody who really doesn't know it. Anywho, let's just get into it, shall we? The Jack of all trades, master of none label is used to suggest incompetence. But what few actually don't know, or rather, what the many don't know, is that the full saying is a jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than master of one. When you take the full saying in its entirety, basically what it ends up celebrating is breadth of knowledge.
This has been a secret for way too long. You can be, and it's okay to be, a jack of all trades.
To embody this, it's important to identify the transferable skills that your multiple passions have allowed you to gain. For instance, for me, my YouTube journey has been informed from experience across multiple disciplines. My project management skills help me structure the production flow of my YouTube content and also help me form coherent ideas that then create final YouTube videos. My entrepreneurial skills then inform my digital product creation and cost management. My digital marketing expertise then help aid in the development of the Simply Productive brand, and my editing skills then result in captivating YouTube videos. My journey proves that refusing to be boxed in helps me turn the Jack of all trades label into a certified badge of honor. But as simple as it's been mentioning all those skills in one sentence, they don't happen overnight. It takes a lot of work to push something off the ground. Sometimes to achieve the things you want, you need to spend a lifetime figuring out what exactly you're good at and what exactly you want to do. I've been creating my whole life, I just didn't know it at the time. For me, my first love was food. I was one of those kids who, my mom, when she was baking, even way before the master chefs, would get these cooking books and would be like, what do you guys want me to make? And I just sit down and read those things and then get up and make some of the weirdest combinations I've ever made. How my family did not get poisoned. Thank you guys for being so supportive. They ate everything. Basically, I was one of those kids who was super interested in experimentation and in mixing different combinations, just being so fascinated by food. And so for a majority of my life, I lived the you have to follow one path type of. I did what every seemingly normal person who wants to be accepted by society and fit in does, which is I put my head down and did what I was expected to do. And so that went on until I discovered versatility. I started exploring who I was, started asking myself questions, just getting to know myself better. And as you guys can imagine, some of these questions are like, why was I doing what I was doing? Why was I interested in it? Did I see my life through it? What did I value? What was I willing to live on by principle? Just a lot of these questions. And as I did, I started discovering it's almost as though I was living a fictitious version of my life. Like what I was doing was completely not me, just taking other people's decisions or what was expected and just implementing that and applying it. And never really critically thinking, what was my contribution to the world? Why was my life worth it? And so that birthed a lot of interest. And as I said, my love for food was always number one. So I decided to pursue that fully and turn that into a professional skill. And so I left law school. So I got a job as a chef. And unfortunately, just as I did, then COVID happened and that did not pan out. But as I was in that period of figuring out, okay, so what do I want to do with this? I realized, how do I want to express my love for food in the world to people in a way that can be monetizable, in a way that people can pay me for what I give, for what I do? So that birthed my company, or even Basil. And running a company running a small business, or rather a startup, makes you have to learn a myriad of skills on the fly, on the go by yourself. So as long as you have the initiative to do so, and again, discovering that I was a multipotentialite, I was like, learning is not an impediment to me. Actually, curiosity is one of my biggest advantages or best skills that I have. I went to business courses, I took marketing courses, project management courses, and behold, this developed into opportunities that I was not expectant of, that have really made my life just so much richer. And now here I am as a YouTuber. Another lovely addition to my wonderful life so far. So at my lowest, without resources, I decided to push myself to learn how to harness my multiple passions into professional skills by getting certified in quite a number of different disciplines by taking numerous online courses. I decided to put myself out there and I applied for international remote jobs from my little country in Kenya, Nairobi. That period in time actually allowed me to travel more than I ever physically did. The most shocking thing happened. I actually got opportunities where I got to work with the most incredible, diverse people. And now I have friends in Argentina, I have friends in New Zealand, I have friends in London, in the States. I mean, it's just a wonder. And of course, I also had my share of bad work experiences. Yet sometimes, because of the feelings I've expounded on in this video, I've also faced shame. I've also faced guilt. I've also faced isolation. But what my journey has really taught me is that you shouldn't wait for someone to give you an opportunity. You shouldn't wait for someone to tell you that you're good, that you fit in, that you're doing what you need to do. Only you can know your worth. Only you can create opportunities for yourself when you know your worth. Journey taught me to be patient, to be resilient, and most importantly, to never be ashamed of who you are, where you're at, and your life experiences. Once you expose shame and name it for what it is, no one can ever make you feel bad about yourself, really, honestly, other than you. And people will always have something to say, but as long as you're doing right by you, that is all that matters. And people get so confused by how confident you are, or how you move in the world, or how you get opportunities, or how you make connections, you network. But it's all first in believing in your own worth. For me, my journey made me realize that I was born to do something different entirely. So if you're not where you want to be right now, don't worry. Like, for real, don't worry. Easier said than done, I know. But nothing, like I repeat, nothing happens in one day. Things take time, but they never stay the same. So as long as you're always willing to keep pushing forward, no one becomes a great artist in a night. It takes months, years, decades even, to figure out what you're meant to do. The journey usually begins with you taking the first step toward your dreams. And then as you're nearing your goal, there are going to be a lot of obstacles. Sometimes obstacles so ugly and so huge that you're going to have to summon all of the strength you can master inside you to overcome them. Don't let these hardships deter you. Don't ever let them stop you from doing what you have to do. You have to fight for what you want. You have to fight for your dreams. And only you can do that. Thank you for joining me today in exploring the emotional landscape of multipotentialites. If you found this video helpful, check out my previous videos. Links to all the available resources are in the description below. A special thank you to all who have subscribed and left such thoughtful comments, such as Kaz Lizzie. I loved your comment on how you found the concepts easily broken down and the video easy to understand. I hope this channel will be the one-stop place you guys go to be able to find productivity topics, mindset topics on business building and slow living in a way that you can easily understand and learn something new that you can share with others, and do it in a super practical way with the digital tools that I'm able to create and make for you guys to use on a daily basis. If you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Now is the perfect time to do so. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks again, guys. I'm Marie from Simply Productive, and I'll catch you in the next one.